Hello, everybody, and welcome to our exciting webinar. We have got a great special guest today. But first, before I do my introduction of our speaker today, my name is Tia Lofsgaard, and I'm the Executive Director of the Canada Organic Trade Association, located in the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Anishinaabe Algonquin peoples, otherwise referred to as Ottawa. And today we have the great pleasure of welcoming the incoming executive director of IFOAM International. And for anybody who needs an overview of what does IFOAM mean, let's do it. International Federation of the Organic Agricultural Movement International. And I had the great pleasure of spending some time over the last 2 weeks, and our first intention was to try and do this while Ravi was with us here in Ottawa, but unfortunately the timing didn't work out. But we wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity for all of the stakeholders across North America to hear directly from Ravi himself. So today we are introducing Ravi, who's joined IFOAM International in January 2024. He brings to us a position of over 2 decades of experience in global leadership with positions in Oxfam, ActionAid, International Press Institute, and Transparency International. He began his career as a journalist in India and later with BBC, covering international developments and conflicts in a variety of countries, all affected by conflict. He later worked in humanitarian relief and advocacy for several international organizations before moving to Syria, where he led advocacy and upscaling agricultural innovations with the International Center for Agricultural Research in the Dry Areas. And later, he spent years working on nutrition and child rights, supporting UNICEF in Malawi to scale up nutrition. But he also worked for FlowCert, which is the Fairtrade International certification body. He holds a master's degree in political science from the University of Winchester in the United Kingdom, and he's pursuing his doctoral studies in the University of Gießen. And I've always been amazed, as I got to know Ravi in the last 2 weeks more so, I'm like, how do you have time for your postdoc studies? Because in the last 10 months, he's been focusing his time on strengthening the international network for IFOAM International, improving member relations, and working towards implementing IFOAM's vision and strategy for the next many years. So with further ado, I would like to introduce Ravi to take over, and he will share his screen. So thank you for joining us all.
Thank you so much, Tia, and good to see you all here. Hello, Amber. It's a great pleasure to be invited to speak and to introduce IFOAM to the North American audience. We have been there for the last 53, 54 years, but I think it's time we need to move on and get more members joining IFOAM, strengthening our network, and upscaling organic agriculture around the world. So I would now like to share my screen. I have a brief presentation about a few slides of what we do, how we do, and where we want to be. So I'll begin my presentation with this brief introduction of what is IFOAM-Organics International. We are there for the last 54 years. We were established on 5th of November, 1972 by a group of 5 people.
Oh, yes, okay. It's just about, it looks right. So,
Yes. So I'll continue. We were set up by 5 people who came together. It was led by Soil Association in the UK, a French organization in France, and Sweden, and they all met together and established this network. And since then, we have grown in numbers and our work around the world. So IFOAM considers itself to be the change agent, an organic agent of change with a vision to ensure that organic food and farming systems, which are grounded in our principles, is adopted widely around the world. And we are, as a network, try to empower, mobilize, and lead the organic movement. We bring together as an organization, farmers groups, traders, processors, organic trade associations, academics, students to promote organic agriculture. At the moment, we have more than 700 members. These are all organizations based around the world in more than 100 countries. So we have a large network, and these farmers' organizations, traders' groups, have their own members. So in all, our reach is huge. We can reach out to 1 million people through our network, through our communications, and through the structures we have. So I suppose I don't have to say this to you all or show this slide because you know what is our organic agriculture. In short, we are based on the 4 principles which you will see now, and I'm sure you know all about our principles. It's health, ecology, fairness, and care. So organic agriculture is rooted in this. But what we have not been speaking about much, and we need to talk about this much more, is that our principles are grounded in human rights. If you look at our fairness, care, and health, all these find a place in the human rights, in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. We talk about health, but we go beyond human rights and talk about health of the soil, health of animals, health of human beings, and health of the environment. Similarly, fairness, our fairness to the soil, people who work with us, who are in the network, the farmers, the consumers, and the care. Care too is of soil, people, animals, and our ecology. So we go a slightly more than what is enshrined in human rights, but we are grounded in human rights. One of the examples is our school meals program, which I'll talk about later. We've been promoting organic school meals because it's highly nutritious. Why is that? It's also grounded in the Convention on the Rights of the Child, Article 24, which talks about child's right to nutrition and health. So this is what we've been doing and will continue to do, and we have grown in numbers. Let's move on. So here are the 4 principles, and you can see how it relates to the world, to the ecology, to our environment, to human beings, to animals. And the foremost thing is we protect the well-being of the current and future generation and ecosystems, which are being highly affected by climate change caused by greenhouse gases, use of fertilizers, use of chemicals. So this, in all, we are inspired by our principles, which look to the future, not just the present. And this is something very exciting because it interacts very well with what is happening in the current world. We're talking about climate change. We're having COP29 in Baku, where a large number of people don't think there'll be any results coming out of that. So over the years, we have increased. We have a huge footprint around the world, but it's hard to manage a network from our head office in Bonn. So we have become a federation, which we were always there, but we created self-organized structures, which are our regional bodies in Europe, in the Mediterranean, in Asia, in Latin America, Southern Africa, and Oceania. So we have a very large network which we work with. We have an IFOAM North America group, and I'm sure some of you are members of IFOAM North America and also sit on the board of IFOAM North America. Now, not all the regional bodies are well established. They need to graduate to the level that some of the others have reached. IFOAM-Organics Europe is doing a great job. We are very proud of that network because they have an office with staff much larger than ours, but they focus on advocacy at the European level, at the EU, because EU regulations have an impact and ramifications around the world. So they engage with the European Union, European Commission, influence their policies, and they have had great wins. In Asia, our Asian body has been doing wonderful work in promoting organic agriculture, working through local governments. So they created an organization called ALGOA, Algoa, which is an association of local governments for organic agriculture. As we speak, in a few days' time, they're going to have the International PGS Conference in the Philippines, which brings together all the people who are working on the participatory guarantee systems. We also have some national bodies which are not part of the regional bodies, but they do exist, like IFOAM Iran, IFOAM France, although France is part of Europe and some members are of IFOAM France are also members of IFOAM Europe. Similarly, IFOAM Japan is a separate body, but some members are also members of IFOAM Asia. Most importantly, we have the sector platforms. And we have Amber here. She's a part of our technology and innovation platform of IFOAM. But we have platforms for everything that is related to agriculture. If you see, we have for agriculture, animal husbandry, aquaculture, seeds, and INOFO, the Intercontinental Network of Organic Farming Organizations. This is a daughter organization of IFOAM created to bring farmers together. So it is dedicated to farmers. And at this moment, the president of INOFO, who is from India, is a member of our world board. The board consists of 10 members who are all elected by the General Assembly, which meets every 3 years, alongside the World Congress. And there they elect the World Board members and executive members and pass motions that defines our work for the next 3 years. We also have, as you know, IFOAM set up the organic standards. These are the universally accepted standards. But any certification body can certify against these standards. Unlike many other standard setting organizations, we do not have our own certification body, or we do not charge money from any of the certification bodies for the use of our standards. But we do have an organization, IOAS, it's based in London, and that it does the accreditation of all the certification bodies that certify against IFOAM standards. It's to ensure their own standards, that they are following their own certification standards, and therefore IOAS exists. And it was also created by us. You see another body called BioSeed. It was created by IFOAM to create a digital register of all the certification bodies and certified bodies. At the moment, it isn't doing very well, to be honest. And with certification too, we are having challenges because certification is becoming more and more expensive and competitive as new national regulations are coming, EU regulations have come. So certification bodies are struggling with this. We are looking at revising our standards, and we have a standards committee which continuously visits the standards and revises them so that we are fit for purpose in the current world. So the certification committee would soon be meeting after the World Congress to look at the present challenges. At the head office, we have departments that work on governance, communications, capacity building, policy and guarantee, which I'll talk to you about later in this presentation. And as you see, our strategic approach is the work we do is a pathway to addressing global challenges of poverty, achieving zero hunger, the loss of biodiversity, which has become one of the biggest challenges alongside climate crisis. Organic agriculture addresses that, and it also addresses the challenge of unsustainable production and consumption in the world. So we're working towards it, and for some of you who are around in this webinar know more about it than I do. In 2023, our members came together, and through a consultation process, they created a 10-year strategy, which 3 strategic objectives. One is the global leadership of the organic movement. We have a large global movement. So many organizations are working on it. So our role, according to the strategy, is to be the leader, hold conversations with all the organic players, and bring them under the umbrella so that we can lead together. There will be strength in our numbers, and we should continue to be the global leaders. So we will be making efforts to continue with this work and expand our partnerships, expand our reach through conversations with like-minded organizations, supporters, research organizations, so that we are on top of it. Empowering the organic and organics worldwide is what we do through our projects, through our capacity building program, through various conferences and congresses that we organize, and direct advocacy at the UN level, at the multilateral organizations, and building capacity of our national organic agriculture movements and supporters in doing advocacy at their own level. The advocacy is focused purely on changing policies, both create an enabling environment, not just for organic agriculture, but also the marketing and sustainability part of it. The third objective is our financial and organizational stability. I have to admit that following COVID, we suffered a lot. We lost a lot of funding. We lost a lot of colleagues. Uh, they moved on because of the financial challenges we were facing. So my first priority that has been decided by the board is to secure financial and organizational stability to get more money in and more staff so that we can run the organization and deliver on the other two objectives. So, what do we focus on? For years, for the last decades, we've been doing this. We promote the use of IFOAM standards. Now, as you may all know, we just don't have standards for agriculture, but we have an IFOAM family of standards, whether it's animal husbandry, aquaculture, apiculture. We have standards and we have guarantee systems. So one is the certification, which guarantees organic standards are met, but we also promote what is called participatory guarantee systems that brings farmers together and they verify and guarantee each other's use as organic. Currently, there are more than 300 plus schemes around the world, and in many countries, this has been recognized by the governments. So, in Brazil, in India, in many Latin American countries, as well as in Asian countries, government has issued labels. So farmers can can put labels on their produce. This reduces the cost of certification for the farmers, makes their farming more sustainable, and also builds camaraderie within the community. We also do group certification, which is a group of farmers come together. They have an internal control system managed by a third party, and that is also widely accepted. It's so much accepted that in the United States, we recently had a case filed by a farmer against group certification, and IFOAM pleaded itself into the case as amicus curiae. The judgment went in our favor. What we hear is the farmer is going to appeal, but we are there to contest. We support our members and we'll continue doing what is required as part of our service to the membership. We do capacity building for the last over a decade. We've been having an academy. It's the IFOAM Global Academy that carries out courses around the world. We have more than 3,000 alumni in our network. That means we've done, on an average, we have 10 to 12 participants in each course. And these are organic leadership courses that focus not just on improving the quality of organic agriculture, but also training our participants in market access, developing new markets, new products, and doing policy advocacy, finding finances for their work. The course is about 11 months long, like any regular academic year. And at the end of the course, the participants have to present a development plan. not their development of a particular area as an organic district or organic area where they bring in all the aspects. It's a holistic approach. They need to present a project which is evaluated by uh, evaluators that we have, and then they're given their certificates. And they continue to do so. Now we are trying to focus more on women and youth because we need to create the next generation of leadership. These courses we can conduct in any language because we have a critical mass of trainers from all over the world. And whenever there is a course required in a particular region, we find experts to go there and deliver the course in that language. We do evidence-based advocacy for policy change, and we work very closely with a Swiss organization you all might know, FIBL, which does amazingly good research both on the farm and and gathering statistics on organic agriculture. They develop the evidence for us, and we present it to the policymakers at all levels. Uh, as you will see later, we represent the major farmers group at the UN and multilateral bodies. We have policy toolkits through which we can influence policies. Governments can adopt new policies going through a toolkit. That toolkit what was developed with support from one of our members. And that we continuously do. We seek support from members, we seek support from our experts to create new evidence. We also do a lot of development projects around the world, which is taking money, development aid money from Germany, from Switzerland, from Swiss, from Swedish government, and we're looking at even asking the Canadian government to give us money. And these are projects in countries not just in the global south, but in the global north too. Some of these projects are focused on capacity building, purely create organic leadership or do advocacy, but more recently we've done projects on development of organic trade. We had huge funding for a project called Organic Trade for Development, which we implemented in Ukraine despite the war, and it was highly successful, and in Albania and Serbia. Currently, we have a massive project where we are doing capacity building and policy advocacy starting this year in whole of sub-Saharan Africa and 3 countries in Southeast Asia. Uh, and we work on market expansion. We try to give opportunities to our members to access the market, not just in the global north, but also in the global south. Currently, we're doing a project in India, Nepal, and Bhutan, creating plans which will be presented to the government for expansion of agriculture and the markets. So we continuously engaged at that level, but overall, we want to focus on not just the farming part, but also improving the markets. As I just said, at the advocacy level, we represent the major farmers group at the United Nations, FAO, and other multilateral bodies. I should mention here that or a decade or two ago, the Food and Agriculture Organization wouldn't even let IFOAM in. Today, we use their headquarters in Rome. We have a person based there, and we organize events. They fund our programs. The program I was talking about in India, Nepal, and Bhutan is funded by FAO, and the International Fund for Agriculture Development, IFAD, also funds several of our programs. GIZ gave us money to implement a program which is called Knowledge Centers of Organic Agriculture in Africa, and it was all geared towards advocating the change. Our policy toolkit has been used by the African Union to rank its member states on how well they're doing with organic agriculture. And that ranking or indexing is always used by the African Union when it engages with its member states on agriculture, which is something very nice for us to advocate, and it makes it very easy for us to access governments in Africa. We do public campaigning. We give voice to farmers, which is the I Grow Your Food campaign. We have got videos from farmers around the world who talk about how they cultivate organic products, yield, and how it reaches the market. If you have time, please visit our website and look at our I Grow Your Food campaign. We have very interesting videos from around the world. In terms of market promotion, what we do is for years now, for decades rather, we've been collaborating with the Nuremberg Exhibition Center called Nuremberg Messe to organize BioFark, or BioFark as we call in Germany. This is perhaps the largest organic trade fair in Europe and in many countries around the world. And we are the international patrons of BioFark. It started with us and a collaboration with Nuremberg Messe in Germany. Last year, we had over 2,000 participants who had booths and more than 500,000 visitors coming there. Oh, the only condition to participate in BioFarm for traders, it's a B2B fair, but the condition is they need to have a certification that they should be certified against IFOAM standards. If they are not, they don't get a booth. So that is the level of acceptance of our standards. They have expanded. They do BioFarks in 7 other countries: China, India, Japan. Currently, it's happening in Saudi Arabia. Next year, it'll be in Atlanta in the US. They had stopped it for a while in the US, and we have it in Brazil. And at every BioFark, we are present along with Nuremberg Messe. Somebody from the office or one of our board members is there. We organize the Congress part of it, and every year we have a global market view session in which Tom, who is here, and Tia present the market view from the United States and Canada. So we do this to promote access and business-to-business contacts for improving market access. And as I said, we do capacity building to train future workforce in marketing, agriculture, policy advocacy around the world, focusing mainly on developing countries and in countries where organics is not that well known. What we have started now, something new, and I'm happy to report this, that we've started engaging with the World Bank with a group of partners like Friends of the Earth, the Worldwide Fund, and a few other environmental organizations. We do find that the World Bank talks about climate smart agriculture and climate mitigation, but they have done nothing for organic agriculture. We are competing with large fertilizer companies, seed companies, who have easy access to World Bank financing and financing by multilateral banks like Inter-American Bank or the Asian Development Bank. So what we try to do is to encourage the International Finance Corporation, the private sector lending arm of the World Bank, to start lending to us, to small agri-businesses. And on the 24th of October, we had an event at the World Bank during the annual general meeting of the World Bank. And that led to another meeting with the IFC directly. And this time, the International Finance Corporation came to this group, which we're part of, to start talking about how best they can move in terms of doing some financing for small agri-businesses. We have to see. It's a long shot, and it could take a while before they really start doing things because World Bank is not is an elephant and takes a long time to move. Things are changing. With Mr. Trump taking over as president, it could have some ramifications on the World Bank's policies itself. But we will keep trying hard with other multilateral development banks. IFOAM-Organics Europe is engaging with the European Development Bank, and one of our partners in Switzerland is also working on influencing other multilateral development banks. So we have to see how it goes, but we are hopeful. We're positive about the development. And this new initiative, which I started after coming to IFOAM, realizing that we cannot depend on development finance for financing organics. We need to be sustainable. And the best way to do it is to increase the market so that farmers have sustainable market and sustainable income. This is a brief section on our work in terms of climate change. People keep talking about it, and very often you hear that agriculture contributes a lot to what's happening with the climate. The greenhouse gas emissions, the nitrous oxides, and various other ways, how energy consumption is so high in agriculture. Organics as part of the solution. Firstly, organic food does not have chemicals and pesticides, and therefore it's healthy, it's nutritious, and it's for all. So far it's been positioned as food for the elite, and it's a myth. People, before we started pesticides and chemical fertilizers, we were all organic. Now, what is called conventional, I still wonder why it's called conventional. Organic is conventional. This is more chemical and fertilizers in it. But that's the way it has been classified, so we live with it. Here is a slide that describes how organics is part of the solution. So if it's an organic farm, it has high level of carbon sequestration. The soil fertility is excellent. It is not, soil doesn't die because of the use of chemical fertilizers and pesticides. Water retention is high. I was just reading a report in The Guardian the other day, which talked about floods, and a German farmer gave an interview to The Guardian where he said he wasn't worried about floods because being an organic farmer, his land could retain much more water than other farms because when the soil dies, desertification starts. And to revive the soil, it takes at least 6 to 8 years. That's been experimented and proven by scientists. So water retention is becoming a major problem around the world because of conventional agriculture. Similarly, loss of biodiversity. In Taiwan, we are doing this organic trade World Congress this year, and there our Taiwanese counterparts have created a logo of red beans with an eagle. So I was asking them, why do you have an eagle here? The story goes, it's called the eagle red beans because in the past, farmers were using a lot of pesticides and chemical fertilizer. And when these red eagles ate the beans or the carcass of rodents that died in the fields, the red eagle population declined a lot until the government banned the use of pesticides in red beans. And now the population of red eagles of the eagles has revived. So this is one of the examples that they give us of how biodiversity has improved. Similarly, rural income, if we look at conventional agriculture, it's now being done by big companies, and middlemen take away a lot of money. Farmers hardly get a big profit on what they cultivate, what they harvest. Access to information with organics, because we are a movement, we are able to move the governments, we are able to influence access to information. There's no more a challenge for us. Large organic farmers associations have a big say in local governments, and that's we can see in Asia quite a lot. We talk about equity, and we do really work on equity. By bringing farmers groups together, the farmers are able to talk to traders, and there are direct negotiations. There is equity in all the negotiations and also in access to facilities that are provided by the government. And we promote sustainable policies both amongst the governments as well as the trading community. So FAO, 22 years ago, FAO did this research and they came up with why organic agriculture is a solution, part of the solution to climate change, because it enables ecosystem to adjust to the effects of climate change. The soil has a high potential to counter soil degradation and is resilient to water stress and nutrient loss because we do not really use chemical fertilizer, high level of pesticides which kill the soil. And as FAO says, well-managed organic agriculture leads to favorable conditions at all environmental levels. So we've been promoting this, but our voice has not been heard so far because a lot of work has been done by young people on countering fossil fuel, and they have been successful. We need to work with young people so that, and join hands with all other climate activists to promote organic agriculture as one of the solutions. And that is what is the next challenge for us. We are looking at it. I've been having conversations with groups like Fridays for the Future and actually the group behind Fridays for Future that created the movement. And let's see how best we can uh, position ourselves in the global narrative on climate change. My colleagues are at COP29 in Baku. Our president of our World Board, Karen Mapusa, is there. Our head of policy is also visiting there. He'll be interacting, and we have been invited by many organizations to talk about it. But we need to capitalize on this. Here are a few slides which I prepared, and I'm sure Tia will share it with you. Why organic matters. Organic, it's all about soil health, nutrition. As I said, we are ingesting a lot of pesticides, chemicals, in vegetables and fruits that are grown in conventional ways. We need to stop that and provide nutritious food to our children, to our population, because I shall explain it later. So these are self-explanatory slides which will reach you. And if you have questions, you're always welcome to send me an email or organize a call. I'll be happy to explain. This is the holistic approach to climate change prepared by my colleagues at IFOAM-Organics Europe. They have been doing a lot of work in convincing the European Union, and I'm happy to report that the European Union has adopted this. They are becoming champions of organic farming. The new policies, the new directives, although they are very harsh, and our traders will have to follow those, our farmers will have to follow those. But in a way, we think it has been a win-win situation for us because of our colleagues at IFOAM-Organics Europe. They have done a wonderful job. At the moment, we have 13 projects around the world in 35 countries, and we have strategic partnerships with many organizations, including BioVision, which is a bigger trust in Africa, which works across Africa, the Swiss Agency for Development Cooperation, which has been funding us for a while. I just mentioned the big project we are starting in Africa. That's funded by the Swiss Agency for Development Cooperation. The one in Ukraine and Serbia and Albania was also funded by the Swiss. GIZ has been our partner for a long time, and our office is 10 minutes away from GIZ, which is the German Development Corporation, so we have regular visits from them. We have the Swedish Society for Nature Conservation, and they have been providing funding for our core work, not for projects. So they support us in streamlining our finances, in hiring people for finance and core activities. We have FIBL, which is our research partner. Then we have a lot of other organizations in Germany, like Naturland, which is a big group of farmers in the global south, supported by Naturland Group in Germany. They are our partners in a big way. One of our board members is from Naturland, and before I joined, he was providing pro bono services as the executive director of the organization. As I said, our organic leadership course in our academy. This is described here. It's 150 hours of intense training with 2 face-to-face modules, 10 webinars, and thematic reports. In the end, the personal development plan has to be given to us, which we evaluate, and then the alumni stay with us. We are now looking at promoting organic agriculture in Africa through community radio and street dramas. So we are working with those groups who are trying to create this, which will be obviously funded by one of our donors, as we see that that is one of the opportunities to promote or a pathway to promote organic agriculture amongst young people. So having talked about all this, you would like to know, where do we sell? Where is the market? And here it is. According to a survey conducted by Fibble, and this slide I took from one of your presentations, either Tia or Tom had made this year at BioFarc. And it shows that United States has the largest share of organic market. So the retail sales are the highest in the United States, followed by the European Union. In North America, the other country left is Canada, which has got only 4% of the global share in terms of the retail market. And there is immense possibility to grow this. China has 9%, but they also have their organic cultivation is increasing. And they would like to not just export, but also consume within the country. So we hope that goes well, because they do not want to rely on imports a lot, especially organic food. And there is a movement there. The government is promoting it. We have now registered IFOAM China, which is a local NGO now, and they work with the government, with BioFarc, with other organizations to promote organic agriculture, both in terms of adaptation and in research. So what can be done? And this is food for thought for you all. Help me. I need your help to promote organic agriculture and organic food. So what we need is actually a behavioral change campaign to promote organic food, because generally it has been positioned as a food for elite. What we need to talk about is how healthy it is, how nutritious it is, and how everybody can afford it. And that, to make it affordable, we need to increase the yield. And that's what is being done by our scientific colleagues. They are trying their best. In India, they say that in 6 years' time, when they transition from conventional to organic, within 6 years, they can reach the same level of yield. And that I have heard from many other colleagues in different parts of the world. But what we really need to do for increasing the consumption is to have this behavioral change campaign, or a knowledge, attitude, and practices change campaign, where consumers understand the importance of organic food and they start, and the consumption increases. And that can be done through a partnership between governments, businesses, and the civil society. Similar campaigns have been done on health issues. So why not on organic food? It's closely connected to health. The second thing, why should this was a question I was asked. Why should governments invest in such a campaign? They should, because promoting organics will reduce the per capita expenditure on health. If we have campaign against obesity in the United States, promoting organics would be a good campaign too, because it is certainly a burden on countries where public health is free or health services are free. They have to invest a lot more because people are falling sick. We see a lot in Germany, we see a lot in Europe where health services are dependent on insurance, and insurance companies are now screaming, saying, we need to do something about it. We need to talk about healthy food and healthy lifestyle. So governments should be taking responsibility for this. And nutrition, it's important for children and adults because if they don't get nutritious food, they can't be productive citizens. They cannot contribute to the country's economy. United States Department of Agriculture, the organic team, has already started a campaign, and as you see, I've pasted the picture there. Uh, Early this year, thanks to Amber, who is here, Amber connected me to the USDA office, and I met them. What surprised me was all over the office, they had these doormats all talking about organic food. They were promoting organic agriculture even on the doormats. This is what we need because organic food is for everyone and people should know this. And if governments get involved, it has got much more traction. But private sector can also contribute a lot. Civil society can do a lot more than what they're doing at the moment. So what can we do together? The governments and the private sector can increase public procurement, which provides sustainable income to our farmers so that they can invest more. They can increase the proportion of organic food in school meals. 336 million children get school meals every day. And that, if a proportion of that is organic food, imagine how sustainable organic farming can be. You can in Germany, a lot of government and public sector and private sector cafeteria and canteens are now moving towards having more organic food on the table during their lunch. And that can be done around the world. In Canada, when I was talking to most the chefs in the hotels, which I did, I liked talking to them, and they were saying they source locally, they try to get more organic food on the table. They are trying themselves because they do understand the importance. So the hospitality industry can contribute a lot by increasing organic food component in their kitchens. And that's the campaign we need to do. Our organic trade associations, our producer groups, they can all be involved in this campaign. So in India, I'm told, I haven't lived there for 30 years, I heard from our colleagues that in certain states of India, civil society has taken over or is working closely with the government in providing school meals. And they contribute 50% of whatever is the cost, and they are providing organic food to children. It's the largest school meals program in the world. And imagine the number of children who are being fed there. And in these large states, they get organic food. And that makes our farming sustainable because they have sustainable income. So this is our request, support us in building a strong community of practice. You can do it. You are there with the people. You know your countries. You know your people the best, and you know your government. We can support you with information, with any kind of technical support you need through our platforms where highly knowledgeable experts are there who can advise us on any topic related to agriculture. So, to bring community together, we bring the entire organic community once every 3 years, which is the Organic World Congress. And this year it is in Taiwan in December. Some of our congresses seen an attendance of more than 2,000 members and supporters. Hopefully we'll reach, if not the same number, but closer to it. Taiwan is a challenge because the United Nations, international bodies, many governments do not want to be seen there. Geopolitics, our members from China cannot come there because they won't be given visas or permission to go to Taiwan. We are facing a challenge, but we are hopeful this will be a success. IFOAM-Organics Europe does this European Organic Congress every year. This year it was in Budapest, and Tom and Amber were there. It was a great success. It was the basic conference, and they looked at policies. What are the hot policies? How should we address that? How can we change our speak? to address policymakers in the European Union, which has shifted to the right a bit. So with this shift, it's hard to talk about climate change. It's easier to talk about environment challenge. So they are designing their strategy at the moment. And as I said, IFOAM-Organics Asia, they are the leaders in organizing youth together. They had recently had the Organic Youth Forum in China and the Organic Asia Congress there. We recently had the second international conference on school meals and public procurement organized by the new Taipei city government in Taiwan. They continuously do these conferences. Next week, they're having this International Participatory Guarantee Systems Congress in the Philippines that promotes a lot of organic agriculture work in Asia and around the world. So it's very interesting to see the two different models of advocacy, one in Europe, the other one in Asia, but they've been highly successful. We also do this organic food conference every 2 years with our partners. I'm not sure when we're going to do it next, because right now we are extremely busy with our organizing the Organic World Congress in Taiwan. So please, if you have time, you have willingness, join us. It's from November 30th to December 4th. And I'm sure some of you are coming. And those who are not, I would urge you to join us there. Thank you very much. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer.
Great. Thank you so much, Ravi. It's wonderful to get that great overview and hear the most up-to-date information on what's happening with the IFOAM International.